What if I told you that the harder you try to be sociable, the closer you are to becoming weak, clumsy, and easy to manipulate? This is not an exaggeration or a cheap provocation. It's the inevitable consequence of living dependent on stares, applause, and the damned "what will they say?" Every time you soften your words so as not to make someone uncomfortable, you tear off a piece of your lucidity. Every time you pretend to agree just so you're not left out, you steal a fragment of your authenticity. And every time you mold yourself to fit into a group, what dies is not your ability to think, but your courage to do so. The world applauds you when you become a docile copy. But what it doesn't tell you is that in that process, you stop having your own strength. You think you're gaining acceptance, when in reality, what you're losing is character. And the worst, the most devastating thing is that you end up celebrating your own domestication as if it were success. They applaud you because you look like them, because you don't bother, because you don't make anyone uncomfortable, and you convinced that this is belonging. Hand over your voice as someone hands over their soul in exchange for a crumb of approval. Do you know what Diogenes thought? That true stupidity wasn't lacking intelligence, but voluntarily renouncing it out of fear of being alone. It wasn't about shining in the middle of the crowd, but about holding on to your truth, even if the whole crowd turned its back on you. And this is where the most uncomfortable message hides. The more you depend on the group, the less you own yourself. The more you seek to fit in, the easier it is to manipulate you. And in that game, the only thing you end up losing is your intellectual freedom. Stay with me, because at the end of this video, you're going to see what almost nobody dares to accept. That loneliness is not your enemy. It's your refuge, your laboratory, the only space where you recover the edge of your mind. You're going to understand why silence, the one you fear so much, can return to you a strength that no crowd will ever be able to give you. The most dangerous trap of excessive sociability is not in parties, nor in groups, nor in fake smiles. It's in something much deeper, in how it alters your way of thinking without you realizing it. Because when you live surrounded by people, your mind starts to work like a mirror. You no longer think what you truly believe. You think what others expect you to say. You don't feel what you truly feel. You feel what you think you should feel, so as not to seem strange. And the most unsettling thing is that there comes a point when you no longer know how to distinguish which is your voice and which is the voice you fabricated so they'll accept you. Look at the details. When you're alone and think about something, your ideas may flow with rawness, even with a certain violence. But when you try to say that same thought in front of a group, you edit it, soften it, mutilate it. And that's where the silent crime happens. Your authenticity is murdered by your fear of being left out. Little by little, you stop having your own thoughts. You no longer think to understand. You think to please. You no longer feel to live. You feel to fit in. And at that point, you're no longer you. You're a version manufactured by the demands of others. What Diogenes understood, and which today seems almost blasphemous, is that the mind loses its edge when it becomes accustomed to being surrounded. The crowd doesn't demand clarity from you. It demands obedience. It doesn't want you to think with strength. It wants you to think softly. And you, seeking to be accepted, hand yourself over to that softness, which at first seems like comfort, but is actually a slow poison. Lucidity rusts when kept in social boxes. Here's where it becomes truly unsettling. The more sociable you are, the weaker your capacity becomes to confront your own life. Because the crowd is an anesthetic. Among laughter, empty conversations, and quick validations, you manage never to face the mirror. And so life turns into a continuous distraction. You surround yourself with noise so as not to hear your silence. You surround yourself with faces so as not to look at your own. You think you're living, but in reality, you're only avoiding living for real. Do you want a brutal example? Watch any person who cannot stand being alone, even for 10 minutes, always with music, with their phone, with someone next to them, with the TV on, not because they enjoy all that, but because they fear what they might find if silence catches them. And here lies the key point. Loneliness is not emptiness. It's the most honest mirror that exists. Whoever flees from it, flees from themselves. Diogenes knew it. That's why he despised social rituals. That's why he spat on appearances. He wasn't a marginal madman. He was someone who understood the most dangerous mechanic of the human mind. That we seek company not out of love for others, but out of fear of ourselves. And here comes the question that will make you uncomfortable for days. How much of what you do is authentic, and how much is just a strategy not to feel alone? The group gives you warmth, yes, but it also robs you of fire. And the more you depend on that borrowed warmth, the more incapable you become of lighting your own flame. That's why true strength isn't in being accepted by everyone, but in holding yourself up even when no one applauds. And that, painful as it is, means learning to be alone without falling apart. Don't forget this. What society calls being sociable is often just an elegant way of being a slave. The darkest part of this dependence on social approval is that it not only transforms what you think, but deforms what you're capable of perceiving. When you get used to living under others' gaze, your perception of reality stops being direct and becomes a constant reinterpretation of what they might think. Your life stops being made of experiences and becomes a theater of appearances. And here's the disturbing detail. When you see the world through others' eyes, you lose your own. It's as if your eyes go dark and you lend your vision to a crowd that will never look out for you. Have you noticed how fear of public judgment even changes your memory? Think about that awkward moment when you said something clumsy, a phrase that still torments you today. In your head, that scene repeats with unbearable drama, as if everyone were remembering every word. But if you were honest, you'd know that no one remembers. No one has it in mind, because most people are too busy trying to hold up their own facade. The paradox is that we carry memories others have already forgotten. And those memories act like invisible chains that make us obey a court that no longer even exists. That social court, that jury that never actually sits in front of you, but that you imagine at all times, is the cruelest mechanism of human domestication. Diogenes understood it. Society's power isn't in written laws or external customs, but in that voice you yourself install in your head to judge you every time you do something different. It's like a psychological parasite that no longer needs to be outside to control you because it has infiltrated your interior. And that is the stupidity he referred to. Not the lack of intelligence, but the voluntary surrender of the mind to the echo of the group. Now I want you to imagine something. A world without spectators. No one watching, no one judging, no one applauding, only you. What would you do differently? What things would you say that you never dare to say? What dreams would you take up again without fear of mockery? The answer to those questions is in reality your authentic life. Everything else is noise, a stage set you built to survive, not to live. But because you've spent so much time inside that theater, you don't even remember what your true voice sounds like anymore. The problem is that we've confused company with value. We believe that being surrounded gives us strength, when in reality, it's the opposite. The more people you meet around to feel valid, the emptier you are inside. What society calls charisma is often nothing more than an ability to hide insecurities under a disguise of friendliness. And people applaud it, of course, because everyone needs the same disguise. But behind every forced smile is a brutal fear. The fear of being invisible, of not mattering, of being irrelevant. And here I want you to pay attention, because this hurts. The obsession with being relevant is what chains you the most. There's no greater slavery than living tied to the desire to be remembered, approved of, commented on. Do you know why? Because the moment someone ignores you, you feel like you're falling apart. You become so used to applause that when it's missing, you think you've disappeared. But it's not that you've disappeared. It's that you never learned to stand without spectators. The interesting thing is that this vulnerability is precisely what others use to manipulate you. Whoever knows you depend on their approval holds your will in their hands. A single gesture of disapproval, a look of disdain, and you're already changing your behavior to win back their smile. That's the most subtle form of social control. Not physical chains, not shackles, but the emotional blackmail of acceptance. The most docile slave is not the one who fears punishment, but the one who fears not being loved. That's why Diogenes was so radical, not because he enjoyed marginalization, but because he understood that only the one who dares to lose everything in front of the group can truly be free. As long as you care about others' opinions, they will hold the key to your mind. And that key becomes a weapon anyone can use against you. Boss, a partner, a friend, even a stranger on the internet. One word is enough to break you, because you never learned to hold yourself up alone. Today's society takes it to the extreme. We live intoxicated by social networks that operate exactly under this mechanism. A permanent showcase where we display edited versions of ourselves and wait for immediate rewards in the form of approval. Likes, comments, followers. Validation that seems sweet, but acts like a drug. You need more and more to feel the same. And when it's missing, you fall into an unbearable void. And the worst, the image you created for them, you can no longer abandon because it's your prison. You become the guardian of an identity that doesn't even represent you. The question is, how much longer are you going to keep selling your freedom for a pat on the back? How many more times are you going to repeat what others want to hear while your true voice rots in silence? Because that's the great tragedy. It's not that you don't have your own thought. It's that you silence it every day until it begins to die. And when you lose it completely, you won't even notice that it's no longer you who's thinking, but the crowd thinking in your place. The harder you try to fit in, the further you drift from yourself. And the more you talk, the emptier you become. I'm not the one saying this. It was said by a man who lived in a barrel, urinated in public, and mocked the world while the world tried to understand him. Diogenes, a philosopher who wasn't looking to please, fit in, or much less be remembered. And yet here we are centuries later, talking about him. Why? Because while most people struggled to be part of the crowd, he chose to be a spectator of collective stupidity. And you know what he said? That the more sociable you are, the stupider you become. Does that sound exaggerated? Perfect, because that means this video is for you. Because you who laugh even though you don't understand the joke. You who greet others even when you don't want to. You who pretend interest out of fear of not being accepted. You have fallen into the most perverse trap of our era. Social hyperconnectivity. And the worst part is that you don't even notice it. Every word you say to belong. Every silence you choose to avoid discomfort. Every gesture. Every laugh. Every damn Instagram story is nothing but bricks in the invisible prison you have built around your mind. Want the truth? You no longer know who you are when no one is watching. What if I told you that all that noise, all those friendships, all those gatherings aren't bringing you closer to wisdom, but pushing you into the abyss of emotional stupidity? I'm not talking about the stupidity of not knowing how to add fractions. I'm talking about true stupidity, the one that makes you forget the essential, the one that forces you to betray yourself with a smile. the one that turns you into a slave of the superficial, of the group, of the what will they say. Have you ever wondered why when you're alone, you feel strange, uncomfortable, empty? Because you're not used to inhabiting your mind without the echo of others. You don't know how to think without borrowed opinions. You don't know how to decide without looking around. And that's no coincidence. Society doesn't want strong individuals. It wants functional pieces. And for a piece to work, it needs to fit in. And to fit in, you have to smooth your edges. And do you know what those edges are? Your judgment, your identity, your truth. But let's go further. Why do you think the smartest people in history were loners? Coincidence? I don't think so. Because thinking deeply requires silence, and silence is at war with sociability. In this video, you won't find advice to be more liked by others. I'm not going to teach you how to be more charismatic or have social skills or stand out in groups. On the contrary, I'm going to tell you why all that can be the most refined form of self-betrayal. Because sometimes, being the life of the party is the price you pay for not having your own soul. Diogenes didn't hate people. He just despised the farce. He knew that where there is too much word, there is little truth. Where there is too much company, there is little judgment. And he didn't say it from the comfort of an armchair, nor from a university lectern. He said it living like an animal, but thinking like a god. So tell me, to what extent are your relationships truly yours, and not a reflection of your fear of being alone? This video is going to shake you. It's not comfortable, it's not kind, but if you stay, maybe you'll begin to see sociability for what it really is, a disguise. One we all wear, and few dare to take off. Get ready, because from this moment on, you're going to start distrusting every conversation, every shared laugh, every automatic gesture. And not because they're fake, but because you don't know how much of yourself you are sacrificing in them. This isn't misanthropy, it's lucidity. It's a journey to the most uncomfortable part of the human condition, the fear of isolation. And how that fear slowly turns you into one more copy of the system you said you wanted to question. Because the more sociable you are, the stupider you can become. And if that bothers you, it's because deep down, you know there's some truth here. Welcome. This is not a video, it's a fracture. And what you decide to do with it will no longer be with the voice of others in your head. It will be with your own. Finally, ready to lose friends and gain clarity. Perfect. Then don't leave. Because what comes next isn't a lesson. It's a mirror. One that not everyone is prepared to look into. Do you know the deepest problem of all this? That most don't even realize they're being domesticated? That's the scariest part. You don't need shackles when the subject kneels on their own. You don't need a cell if the mind prefers the crowd to freedom. And here comes the next enemy, a quieter one, more elegant, more insidious, social validation. It's the drug no one admits to consuming. No one tells you, I want to be approved. No, that would be too honest. Instead, they post, smile, dress a certain way, adopt opinions, like someone puts on a shirt, just to fit into a mold they don't even question. Validation isn't a compliment. It's an addiction. And that's where stupidity begins to seem sensible. Because to be validated, you have to be understandable, predictable, comfortable. And nothing is more comfortable for others than someone who thinks like them. Validation doesn't require intelligence. It requires conformity. And the more you seek it, the more you diminish your ability to think for yourself. Because real thinking, deep thinking, is dangerous. It distances you from the group. It makes you strange. It turns you into an outcast. And what does a human do when they start to feel out of place? They give in. They adapt. They give up their inner voice to not lose external approval. And right there, right then, is when the stupidity begins. The mind cannot be sharp when it's waiting for applause. critical thinking isn't born in applause. It's born in conflict. But conflict scares because it's uncomfortable, because it's lonely, because it forces you to see yourself without social makeup. Look around you, observe people, notice how they laugh in unison, how they repeat ideas without digesting them, how they defend causes they don't understand just because they're trendy. Do you think that's intelligence? It's not. It's obedience with a smile. And here comes the hardest part of all. The smarter you are, the more at risk you are of becoming stupid, if you choose to live to be accepted. Because real intelligence implies dissidence. It implies stepping aside. It implies saying what no one wants to hear. But that's not rewarded. That's punished. How? With society's favorite weapon, symbolic isolation. They no longer exile you physically. Now they silence you with indifference, with soft cancellations, with that uncomfortable void that appears when you don't follow the script. And most can't stand it. They'd rather get lost in the crowd than face the desert of authenticity. Want brutal proof of this? Watch what happens when someone in a group expresses an unpopular opinion. You see it on their face. Doubt, self-correction, trying to soften it. They know they're touching a nerve. And they're not afraid of being wrong. They're afraid of being alone. That's the point. We no longer live in fear of error. We live in fear of isolation. And you know who didn't have that fear? Diogenes. Because he understood that freedom isn't doing whatever you want, but not fearing to be alone with your convictions. So tell me, how much of what you think is truly yours? How many ideas have you taken simply because they surrounded you? How many times have you kept quiet about what you thought to not upset a group you don't even respect? Validation is the most sophisticated form of submission. And you think you're communicating, but in reality, you're giving up. You think you're sharing your thoughts, but you're just serving a menu adapted to the group's taste. Intelligence isn't measured by what you know, but by what you're willing to defend, even when no one else does. But that has a price. The price of exclusion, judgment, whispers behind your back. And here the trap is revealed. Sociability is not neutral. It's not just a way of living together. It's a net designed to soften the edges of the mind, to make you more acceptable, yes, but also more manageable. That's why it's so damn hard to be brilliant and social at the same time. Because part of you is always in conflict. The part that wants to question and the part that wants to belong. And when that conflict becomes unbearable, you choose comfort. And that's where stupidity begins. Not stupidity of ignorance, but stupidity of not wanting to know more than necessary to maintain balance. That's what kills lucidity. Not error, but polite conformity. The diplomatic smile, the right phrase at the right time. The killer of font is artificial consensus. And yet you keep seeking it because we prefer a shared lie to a solitary truth. Do you realize this video isn't about being antisocial? It's about mental integrity, about rescuing your thought before the group dilutes it. And no, it's not about hating others. It's about not depending on them to know who you are, because the more you depend on the reflection of others, the blurrier you become. So tell me again, are you thinking or are you repeating? Are you being you or are you being what they expect from you? If you've come this far, congratulations, because that means something inside you hasn't been fully domesticated yet. But the real work starts now. This isn't a conclusion, it's a threshold. And what you cross to the other side depends only on you. The world is full of sociable, pleasant, diplomatic minds. Empty. Don't be one more. Diogenes didn't live in a barrel out of poverty. He lived there because there was no room for his mind in a society of happy slaves. And you? Where are you going to live from now on? And just when you think you've awakened, you discover another layer, a deeper one, more perverse, harder to strip away. Because there is something even more dangerous than external validation, something better camouflaged, something disguised as introspection, but in reality is a virus dressed as virtue, socially as self-deception. Yes, you heard that right. You don't just deceive yourself. You do it with applause, with likes, with approving looks that reinforce your narrative, even if it's rotten inside. Because the more sociable you become, the more versions of yourself you have to maintain. And there comes a point when you no longer know which one is real. It's like an endless performance. And every stage, the office, the group of friends, the partner, your family, requires a different character. Everyone applauds the actor, but no one knows the author, not even you. Human beings have replaced the mirror with the audience.